You turned 15 Monday?
Yeah.
You're 14 years old?
Yeah.
What's it like to be recognized in all sorts of cities? To leave here, you're big in New York. I don't know if you spend any time in New York a lot, but they know who you guys are now.
Yeah, man. It's gravy, man. Like the other night, we had a concert in the tunnel. We had a show in the tunnel. I got a big response when I hit the stage, like a real big response, like some Michael Jackson type stuff. And I was like, that shocked me. I was like, man. So, you know, it feels good to let them know, because I know that they recognizing me for being me, because I know my style is natural. It's me, it's original. And they recognizing me as, they don't see me and be like, he cute. They see me, that's that little thug, man. That's what I want them to see.
In the vibrant and diverse landscape of hip-hop, few artists have risen to the level of prominence achieved by Lil Wayne. With his unique style, unmatched lyrical prowess, and charismatic presence that captures the attention of fans worldwide, Lil Wayne has undoubtedly become one of the most influential figures in modern rap. But behind the fame and success lies a pivotal moment, forever changing the trajectory of his life. On November 11, 1994, at only 12 years of age, Wayne's life took a drastic turn when he found himself laying in a pool of blood, struggling to maintain consciousness after getting shot by a 9mm handgun. Dwayne Michael Carter Jr. was born on September 27, 1982, in New Orleans, Louisiana. He was raised in the infamous New Orleans neighborhood of Holly Grove by his 19-year-old mother, who worked as a cook. His parents separated early, with his father leaving the family when Wayne was only 2 years old. Despite all of it, his father forced him and his mother to live with his mother till Wayne was about 5 years old, while he lived with his new wife. In a couple of interviews, he remembers his father coming by every other day to physically and mentally abuse his mother. Thankfully, they managed to escape the chaos, and soon Wayne and his mother went on to live on their own. Carter attended Eleanor McMain Secondary School for 2 years, where he was an honor student and a member of the drama club, playing the Tin Man in the school's production of The Wiz. While he was a straight A student, he never felt like his true intelligence was expressed to any kind of report card. Art was always in his heart, and soon enough, at the age of 8, he found music. After taking the name Baby D, he began writing rhymes and exploring the world of expression through music. It didn't take long before he got noticed by local rappers around the city, and soon, at the age of 12, he bumped into Brian Baby Williams, now known as Birdman. He did a little freestyle rap for him, after which Birdman gave him his card and asked him to call him. In Wayne's words, he never stopped calling that card.
I spit for Baby. I met him, like I said, May 13, whatever. It was at a record store. Lil Slim was there, the artist, the dude. And he introduced me to Baby and I spit for Baby, and you know, and they gave me a card. And I ain't never stopped calling the number on that motherfucker.
Soon, Birdman became his mentor, guiding him to the game of hip-hop, letting Wayne record freestyle raps on his answering machine, and slowly but surely putting him on several Cash Money tracks. But before becoming friends with Ronaldo,
money.
and years of public grooming by Daddy Birdman, Wayne's life was almost cut short, just a year after losing his virginity.
I got when I was 11, Twist. I loved it. I ain't never pressed charge. I'ma do you like Baby them did me.
Wayne shot himself at the age of 12, almost ending his rap career before it even started. On November 11, 1994, the police department got a call from a young boy struggling to spit out words and wheezing as he spoke. The operator pressed the kid for more details, but the last thing she heard was, "You will find out when you get here," and the phone hung up. The call was coming from apartment D on 3409 Monroe Street. Officer Robert Hubler, who joined the New Orleans Police Department in 1988 and regularly showed up at emergency scenes when he wasn't working, was on his way to go off duty when dispatchers broadcasted the emergency call. Without any hesitation, he drove his squad car to the two-story fourplex, arriving at the same time as fellow officer Arthur Thompson. The officers entered the complex and went upstairs. They knocked on the door of apartment D, saying, "Police, open up." Unfortunately, there was no answer. They could hear the music blasting, so they knocked once again, repeating, "Police." Still, there was no answer. Hubler tried opening the door, but it was locked. As they stood in the hallway, Pamela Taylor, a woman living in the apartment C, walked up. The officers asked her who her neighbors were. Unfortunately, according to her, they just moved in, and she hardly knew them, but she told that the maintenance guy lived 5 blocks away, suggesting that he might help them. Thompson headed to the maintenance man's house, but found no one. Meanwhile, Hubler went downstairs and paced around the apartment complex looking for anything extraordinary, but weirdly enough, everything seemed in order. Confused, he went back upstairs and knocked on the door of apartment D one last time, once again repeating, "Police." This time, according to Hubler, a faint voice answered, "Help me, I've been shot. Help me, I've been shot." Hubler kicked down the door, rushing inside, only to find a short-haired boy in jeans and a t-shirt, bleeding to death. At that moment, Hubler had only one thought on his mind, which was to save this young kid's life. He understood that the kid needed to go to the hospital as soon as possible and radioed emergency medical services for help. While he awaited a reply, he spoke to the boy saying, "Talk to me, man. What happened to you? Stay awake." The boy just groaned. Moments later, Thompson came into the apartment. While still awaiting a reply, Hubler searched the apartment for a gunman or a witness. He found a pistol at the foot of the bed and noticed a shell on the bedspread near the half-eaten hamburger. Thompson kneeled next to the little Dwayne, urging him to hang on, asking him what happened. The boy said he shot himself by accident. Grown out of patience, knowing that every second counts, Hubler asked 911 dispatchers how long it would take for the ambulance to get there. The dispatcher responded, "No unit is available." As Hubler made sense of the dispatcher's grim words, more officers arrived at the scene, including Kevin Balancier, Gervais Allison, Stephen Williams, and Timothy Bayard. Hubler met Bayard downstairs and briefed him on the situation. Bayard climbed up and saw the blood-soaked boy, wheezing. He also radioed the dispatcher, asking for an ambulance, but once again heard the same response. "No units are available. We will send the first one that is free." Every second mattered. Bayard kept his composure and looked at Hubler saying, "Take him to the hospital yourself. Grab him and get the f*** out of here." One of the officers who just arrived, Balancier, backed his police car into the driveway and opened the back door. Hubler scooped the boy up and carried him to the back seat. After he laid the boy across his lap, one officer suggested taking him to Charity Hospital, but it was too far away. "Take him to Ochsner, in Jefferson Parish," said Bayard. While the Ochsner Hospital wasn't as well equipped to handle gunshot wounds like Charity, it was much closer. Allison sped out in front of Balancier and blocked traffic at major intersections. Wayne groaned and bled all over Hubler in the back seat, while Balancier sped to the Claiborne and turned right. The street led right to Ochsner's emergency room, which had already been notified of the situation. Hubler spoke to the Dwayne the entire trip and lightly shook him to keep him alert. "Stay awake, son. You're going to be fine. You'll see." As soon as they got to the Ochsner, Balancier opened the door and led Hubler out. He placed Dwayne on a gurney, and doctors frantically wheeled him away. Most of his shirt was tinted dark red, soaked in Wayne's blood. Hubler, Bayard, and the other officers reunited in the emergency room lobby. A nurse told the group of wounded officers if y'all had waited for EMS or taken him to Charity, he would have died. You saved that kid's life. Thanks to the heroes that day, police officers and medics managed to save that young kid's life, who would later become one of the most influential musicians in hip-hop history, going under the name Lil Wayne. Many years later, Hubler was asked to talk about the incident and achievements Lil Wayne managed to achieve throughout his life, to which he responded, "I'm proud of what he's done, but I would have done the same for the guy no one ever heard about again. Everyone else there would have too." Years passed, and Hubler went to spend 10 years as a homicide detective, while Wayne grew up to be a multi-platinum album-selling superstar. Before that, Hubler began seeing and hearing about an up-and-coming Cash Money Records rapper named Lil Wayne everywhere, in record stores, magazine stands, television, and radio stations, but despite all of it, he didn't realize the two were the same person until after the rapper hit it big. As he later commented, he was never a fan of hip-hop and mostly listened to rock bands such as AC/DC, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, and Metallica. One night, as Hubler dined at the restaurant on St. Charles Avenue with a friend, a large man tapped him on the shoulder and told him, "Lil Wayne wants to see you." Hubler cast a puzzled glance around the room and locked eyes with a man sporting wild dreadlocks and shiny chains. The man motioned him over. He didn't recognize Wayne until he stood over the table. "This man saved my life," Lil Wayne said to several men and women around him. "I almost died, and this man saved my life. I'll never forget him." They spoke briefly, fist bumped each other, and after reuniting once again, they returned back to their meals. After the dinner was over, Hubler went on to pay for his meal when the waiter told him not to worry about it. Lil Wayne had picked up the tab. While this could be a perfect place to end the story, there is still a little bit more that meets the surface. If we would go back to that tragic day, according to the police report, 12-year-old Dwayne Carter Jr. left school early because it was a report card day. He bought a hamburger, fries, and a soft drink from Burger King on his way home to 3409 Monroe Street, apartment D. He sat on the mattress in the master bedroom and began eating. Suddenly, he stopped when he noticed a blue steel Taurus 9mm handgun. The pistol had been left the previous day by a man who came over to watch a football game. Little Dwayne picked up the gun and began horsing around with it, blasting Notorious B.I.G. At about 1:15 p.m., the boy accidentally fired a bullet to his chest. The slug then shot out the lower left corner of a window and by a miracle missed every single vital organ. From the report, the whole story seemed like an unfortunate incident which happened completely accidentally, or so did everybody thought. Wayne has talked about it or referenced this incident on many occasions. For instance, he talked about it in his 2010 documentary.
I was just wondering, you got shot, right? You shot yourself by accident.
Yeah, it was an accident.
What happened?
Oh, nothing, just an accident. I was young, stupid, tripping, high. But it's cool. I'm here making buku money.
In numerous interviews, including the one with Jimmy Kimmel,
Shot?
Yeah, I have.
You have. Who did it?
I did, unfortunately.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
and surprise, surprise, in his music. It's nothing extraordinary to see musicians open up about their lives in their music, especially when it comes down to the most tragic or impactful events that shaped them to be the people that they are now today. But this time, it was a little bit different. You see, the official report of the story was that the whole situation was accidental, and since then, Wayne was always reassuring everyone that it was an accident, and even sometimes laughed about it, seemingly being embarrassed by the incident.
Is there a disagreement?
It was an accident, man. Yeah, man.
But as the years went by, lyrics in his music started to hint that there might be another side of the story that was kept away all these years. The first time we heard Wayne talking about the situation more in depth and hinting that there was something more to it was on his 11th album, called Free Weezy Album, on the song London Roads. By this time, the officer who saved his life had recently passed away. In the song, he says, "Messira, I remember going in your gun drawer, putting it to my chest, and missing my heart by centimeters. I remember dying on her room floor and waking up in some police's arms. He died recent, so I hope heaven made more room for him, and I hope he sees me, cause if he didn't save that little boy, there would be no Weezy." In the first line, Wayne started out by speaking to Miss Sira, his mother, whose full name is Jasira Carter. He reminisces about the late Mr. Hubler and also recalls the incident involving the shooting. The first two lines sort of implicate that there might have been more to the story that we know about, seemingly hinting that he willingly put the gun next to his heart, and just maybe, it wasn't an accident. A year later, on September 30th, 2016, Wayne was featured on Solange's song called Mad. In the song, he raps, "And when I attempted suicide, I didn't die. I remember how mad I was on that day. Man, you gotta let it go before it gets up in the way. Let it go, let it go." Well, he never put it plain black and white. Wayne was once again talking about the same incident, but this time admitting that it was an attempt on his life, something that he has never admitted to publicly before. The line where he says, "I remember how mad I was on that day," implies that he was talking about the same incident, because a couple of years later, he would once again use the same sentence, describing his feelings that day. While both songs were released about in a year's span, it seemed like around that time, Wayne had a lot on his mind, and the shooting was laying heavy on him, leaving fans with thousands of unanswered questions. But what might have been seen as a maze, Lil Wayne's The Carter 5 brought a lot of answers to a decade-long questions. On the song, Let It All Work Out, Wayne recites the whole story in detail, with no filter. He says, "I found my mama's pistol where she always hid it. I cried, I put it to my head and thought about it. Nobody was home to stop me, so I called my auntie, hung up, then put the gun up to my heart, and pondered. Too much was on my conscience to be smart about it, to torn apart about it. I aimed where my heart was pounding. I shot it, and I woke up with blood all around me." The record set the story straight, answering all the necessary questions and probably lifting a huge weight off his chest. To say that Wayne put his heart into the song would probably be an understatement. He opened up like a book and let the world see the real side of the story that he had been holding back for more than 20 years. A couple of years later, Wayne showed up to an interview to answer a couple of uncomfortable questions. At one point, for the first time during an interview, Wayne decided to share his story.
When did you realize, you know what? I might have some mental health issues that I have to work through.
Oh, I realized that at a very young age.
When would you say they started? 13, 14?
Young, yeah, as a kid, around 10. Feeling like you, when I was told that I couldn't have what I wanted, what I dreamed of, and what I desired, and that was to rap. When I was 12 years old, school year was kind of ending. So what the school was doing was they was giving us half days on a Thursday and a Friday. What I would do was just tell my mom that I only had a half a day on one of those days. So therefore I stayed out the rest of the whole day, just like it was a full day. She found out. And so when I got home, on that thing, it was that Friday, whatever, I got home, got a phone call from my aunt, was like, she found out, boy, you about to get your chicken, all that rapping and all that, she about to take that rap photo, she about to throw that away, she about to, and I was like, wow, so all that had built up to me, so that was a build up. I just listened to her, listened to my aunt, like, I hear you, because she was, she said, boy, you about to get your, when she get home, your mama takes, so she actually said, she was like, she's taking off. Hung up the phone, thoughts everywhere, thoughts everywhere. Main thought was, I'm gonna show you. I picked up the phone, I called the police. Yes, I knew where she kept her gun, and it was in her bedroom. And so I went in her bedroom, grabbed the gun. I already made the phone call. Looked in the mirror, did like that. Of course, it was like, oh no. Cause I got a little too scared. That was my head, like, no. But then I said, okay. How I know I had mental health problems was I pulled the trigger.
You actually pulled the trigger?
Yeah, I pulled the trigger. They saw me, they as in the cops, they saw me just jump clean over me and went through the house talking about, I found the drugs, I found the gun, I found it. So I'm doing all that. And so it took a guy named Uncle Bob. And he ran up there. When he got to the top of the steps and saw me there, he refused to even step over me. One of them yelled like, I got the drugs. And that's when he went crazy. He was like, I don't give a about no drugs. He's like, do you not see the baby on the ground? And funny that I kept trying, I was spitting all in his face, blood, everything. All I was trying to tell him, I'm not a baby.
After the interview was over, Wayne took it to Instagram, posting a clip of it and adding, I hope telling the story helps someone out there. Thankfully, on that unfortunate day, Uncle Bob, a 41-year-old police officer, saved a young kid's life who for all those years was suffering in silence. Not all of us have Uncle Bob by our side when needed, so I want this video to be a message to somebody who is having a hard time in their life right now. You are not alone, and you don't have to suffer in silence. If you keep having dark thoughts, please remember that you matter and reach out for help. Your life matters. Rest in peace, Uncle Bob.